All right, so again, today, just practicing. Okay? No additional material today, just practicing these log equations. I'll still answer any questions that you have. We're going to go over the warm-up, and then I'll answer any questions from the homework that you were given either for the day before or the one that I gave you for last class for today. Answer as many questions as I can, okay? I want you guys understanding this. And ladies and gentlemen, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Strike that. The only stupid question about math for this class is the one you don't ask. Because yes, there are other stupid questions out there. We talk about math questions here. Okay? Let's be real. I could see Kais's mind just kind of going, woo, I can come up with a stupid question. Oh yeah. All right, so I know you might not have finished this, but I kind of want to get through looking at 1 through 6, because that might help jumpstart you into finishing 7 through 10. Okay, so I'll go over 1 through 6, then I'll give you a little bit more time, and then we'll talk about 7 through 10. So here we go. Let's take a look at problem number 1 and 2. Now, I know this is kind of tiny, so let's look straight up at number 1 first. Seizure! Ah! Sorry about that. Questions on number 1. Hopefully that was a nice, I like those. Because, dude, I don't even need to have a log in it. I just rewrite it. Okay, for number 2, I have the answer if you used a calculator and if you left it. Okay, so I know this one's going to take a little looking at. Let me walk you through what I did here. I smacked each side up with an ln. In doing so, I was able to bring down the exponents. This right side was good. The left side I had to distribute. So that was ln 3 minus 2x ln 3. Then I got my x's on the same side, and I figured, you know what, since that's just the only x, I moved this guy over here by adding 2x ln 3 to both sides. Then I factored out the x. And to get the x by itself, I divided by all that jazz there. Nathan, that is an interesting set of faces you're giving. Can you tell me where you got lost with that?
No, I just never distributed.
You just never distributed? Okay. Smooth move. Okay. Nobody else on problem number 2? All right. Let's take a look at problem number 3. 3 should have been nice, not too crazy. Please, please, please do not simplify ln of 9 over ln of 6. That's not ln of 3 over 2. Be very careful with that. Again, without a calculator, with a calculator. Are we okay on that one? Okay, because that's the general idea of when you can't write them as the same base. I get that the equation solving for number 2 was a little bit more intense. But that's the main idea here, so we can work more on just the equation solving aspects. Number 4. Even though there are 2 numbers that square to give me 64, only the positive one works because of that x. Remember, we cannot take the log of a negative number. Always check that. I did check that. Believe it or not, I just didn't show it in here. I knew that this was almost 4, but no matter what, as long as it's bigger than 1, we're going to be okay. Yes, sir. Yes. No, not here. Not here. Yes, you always check it. Thank you for bringing that up. You have to check it against the original problem. I used to make that mistake all the time. I would plug it in here and go, well, hey, -8 works here. Right. So you got to go all the way back to the very original problem. Okay? Because the rules kind of apply as long as the domain works for the original one. All right, let's take a look at number 5. Again, number 5, even though you get an answer of -20, it does not work in your problem. Everybody okay with when the base isn't written? What is the base? What is the base when it's not written? 10. Good. Yes, ma'am. I got 2 to the 100 because when the base isn't written, the base is 10. So I took this and I rewrote it in exponential form. So I said 10 squared equals that. Okay? These are really good questions, guys. Anybody else on problem number 5? Okay, let's take a... Huh? Okay. I don't need to go... I mean, we just have practice today. Okay. All right. Problem number 6. And again, it's okay to have this -4 here, because when I plug it back in, I get 1 plus 8, which is 9. So it's not about saying you can't have a negative answer. It's just when I plug it into the original equation, I can't take the log of a negative number. How are we doing with those first 6? Good? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit more time to finish up the warm-up, because I know some folks are still working, and hopefully what we started with might give you guys a good reminder for those of you who are stuck on some of the 7, 8, 9, or 10. So go ahead, continue with these guys. Again, please check your answers with your neighbors. Talk to each other. It helps. All right. So we're going to start going over the rest of these last problems, starting with problem number 7. Let's see here. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay. So number 7, when we go through and we work this, we get to a point where we have something that is not factorable, because there are no two numbers that multiply to give me +7 and add to give me 6. So, for those of you who don't recall, the quadratic formula is -b plus or minus b square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, where b is the number in front of the x, so that means I would have -6. What is -6 squared? I'm sorry, what is 6 squared? 36. Minus 4. What's a? And c? All over 2 times a, which is 2. What's 4 times 7? 28. And 36 minus 28 is 8. How can I simplify the square root of 8? 2 on the outside and a 2 on the inside. And then we simplify by saying -6 divided by 2, which is -3, and 2 root 2 divided by 2, which is just root 2. Now, the problem here is I'm going to need to plug that back into these guys. Even if I just kind of ignored making that smaller, if I had -3 plus 2, that would still be a negative number. So if I'm going to do the subtraction part, it won't work, because it's going to be even smaller than -2. But the square root of 2 has to be bigger than 1. Does everybody understand why? 1 times 1 is 1. So the square root of 2 is going to be bigger than 1, and as long as that is bigger than 1, it's going to work in both of those cases. Okay? So please, 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 you guys, I don't think you understand how important it is that you have the quadratic formula memorized. That's why you start it in Algebra 1. Then you need to get into Algebra 2. Some of you, if you took pre-AP geometry, hopefully they still did it in pre-AP geo. Okay, this is an important skill. It is very, very, very important. Don't forget it. All right, then if we look at number 8, or I'm sorry, were there any other questions on number 7? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so when we're looking at it, A is the number in front of the x, B is x squared, B is in front of x, and C is the constant. Okay? Anybody else? Everyone all right with where that 1 came from? Yeah? Because any number to the 0 power gives me 1. Okay, take a second to look at number 8. There's a lot to kind of suck in there. So this is a lot of just practicing our old methods for solving equations. So the first thing we did here was we got it together as one log. Subtraction between logs becomes division inside of a log. 3 squared is 9. And then to solve this, I times both sides by the x minus 2. That cancels it out on this side, giving me this. And it's a matter of distribution and solve. And I know that 11 over 4, because that guy is bigger than 2, is going to work in both of those pieces. Okay? Questions there? Again, guys, today is about helping you make sure you understand all of these equation solving techniques, all your properties. We're just wide awake and excited to be here today. At least Crystal has an excuse. Nope, she's out. Poor Crystal. God bless her for coming to school today. All right, take a look at number 9. Take a look at number 9, folks. For this one, we had a log on each side of the equation. Yes, sir. Because we have to go back to the very original problem. And if I put a -1 in here, I can't take the log of a negative. Okay? No, good questions. It's okay. Today is a lot of practice. I think we need it. Practice is a good thing. So no more questions on 9? Zach, you all right? You sure? Okay. And then I think number 10 was the ugliest of them all. It looks horrible. This guy's ugly. So I'm going to give you a second to kind of see if you can find out where your mistake might have been, and then I'll walk you through each step. You could have also, by the way, had ln2 minus 4ln5 over ln2 minus ln5. And that's okay. If you got that, you're perfectly fine. If you switched these two and switched those two. So ln2 minus 4ln5 over ln2 minus ln5. Exactly. It's like you solved it to the other side of the equation. So kind of just looking through what I did here, just kind of help narrow our focus in. I took the natural log of both sides because I can't write them as the same base. And in doing so, I was able to take the exponents and bring them out in front as multiplication. Then I distributed. So that meant I'd have x ln 5, negative 4 ln 5. And over here I would have x ln 2 minus ln 2. Once I had this, it was just a matter of pick a side to get your x's on. I chose to get my x's on the left. Why? I don't know. It's just where my brain went. So in order to do that, I subtracted x ln 2 and I added 4 ln 5. Now that my x's are on the same side of the equation, we factor that x out. And now it's x times stuff, no matter how ugly that stuff is, to get the x by itself. We divide both sides by that stuff. Those are definitely, I think, the most tedious. Yes, sir. ln 2 minus 4 ln 5 over ln 2 minus ln 5. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I know what you're talking about. Are you saying if I started with, for example, log of 4x over 2? Yeah. That you would. That you can definitely simplify. Okay, so if I had like 4x over 2x cubed or something like that, because it's all grouped together within the log, yes, you can simplify that. There's no plus or minuses. But if I did not simplify, because you can only simplify factors. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so from the second line, I put my x's on the other side.
That's okay. So you would have subtracted x ln 5.
And I added ln 2.
Then you would have added ln 2. So did you put the negative 4 ln 5 plus ln 2? Yeah. That's fine. So then for yours, basically you're just looking at the signs. You either can have all of the signs exactly like this, a positive ln 4, a negative ln 2, a positive ln 5, and a negative ln 2. Or all of your signs could be exactly opposite.
Oh, wait. So the negative 4 ln 5.
That's fine. That's fine. It's just a different order. Okay? I tend to like to make sure my minuses follow things. Otherwise, I forget they're even there. So that's just how my brain works. All right? Okay. So what we're going to do now, I have a sheet of practice problems for y'all, because, 10's not enough. And I want you to see here that I'm asking you to round your answers to 3 decimal places. So you will need a calculator for this. Not every single one needs to be done with a calculator, but a lot of them do. Okay, so we have 9 problems on the front, 9 problems on the back. Odds are you're not going to be able to get your work all in this page. That's okay. Do not take this small page as a dare to see how small you can write. It just opens yourself up to mistakes. So what I do want, guys, can I have a second? Whether you do your work on here or not, I want all of your answers circled on this page. Okay? I will be spot grading these. I'm not going to check all 18 problems, but I will be checking this for correction. And this does need to be turned in by the end of the block. Okay? However far you get. All right? And your homework is on your outline. Let's see if I can find where that is. I'm sorry? I didn't check it. No, but you're okay. I wasn't planning on it. No, it's okay. So your homework is for this second day, this stuff here. Okay? So I will also write it down and I will put it up on the board. Page 313, 6 through 44, even. Okay. Not a clue. I think it might be. Because it sounds about right. Okay, so there's your homework, and I'm going to pass out your practice. You guys are welcome to work together on this, okay? You are not in this alone. I will be here for questions also. Please leave your phones in the back unless you're taking a picture of the homework, because we've been getting a little distracted lately.